In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this artwork in Photoshop. Hey guys, how's going? Today, I'm step-by-step guiding you how I made this artwork in Photoshop. So, without wasting any time, let's get into the Photoshop. First of all, I dragged this icy ocean image. Then I added this polar bear's image and masked them out using Object Selection tool. As always, it worked just fine. Then I manually fixed its edges and refined the fur using Brush tool. Then I determined the right position for them. Then I added levels to make them a bit darker, and I added hue and saturation. I selected yellow color in it and decreased its saturation at all. Then I selected levels and used blend if to remove it from highlights. Then using exposure, I added shadows to the bears. I reduced the little bit saturation of the background using hue and saturation. Then I added exposure adjustment layer on bears. I increased the exposure and I used blend if to remove it from darken areas. This would make the highlights more realistic. Then I painted the highlights using soft round brush by reducing the brush opacity to 5%. Then I added kind of bluish tint to bears to match them with the background. Then I added some shadows beneath them to make them look like they are touching the ground instead of floating. I added this killer whales image. I roughly masked it out. Using lasso tool, then using brush tool, I removed the unwanted areas and fixed the edges. I determined the right position for it and faded the bottom area using brush tool to blend it with water. As you can see, it has yellow tint, so I used hue and saturation and selected the yellow color and decreased the saturation to 0% at all. I added color balance to match it with the background. Then I added some shadows as well. I added this image and masked out this whale tail using Subject Selection tool. Then I determined the right position for it and blend it with the background. I fixed its edges with brush tool. Then I added some highlights, shadows, and color balance as well. I added another killer whale image and did the same thing, masking it out, and some highlights, shadows, and color balance as well. I duplicated this whale image, and again, did the same thing, added highlights and shadows. I added this water splash image and set its blending mode to screen and faded its bottom area and added some highlights and shadows and color balance. I put in this image and selected the sky with quick selection tool and removed it. I determined the right position for it and blended it with background. I added another polar bear image. I masked it out using Object Selection tool. And again, added highlights and shadows to it. I added the reflection of the bears in the water. I duplicate the bear's image and flip it vertically. Then I added hue and saturation adjustment layer and made it a bit darker, and set its blending mode to soft light. Then I added some field blur to the reflection. I also added ripple effect to the reflection, because as you can see, the ocean water has ripples, So I also added ripples to the reflection as well to make it more realistic. I added another polar bear image, did the same thing like before. I also made the reflection of the bear in the water as well. I also added some fog in the background with smoke brush. I added some icy rocks image to the right bottom area of the canvas. Then I added some field blur to them. Now everything is done. There are some little tweaks left. So watch the speed art. Well, that's it for today's video. Hope you've learned something from today's video. If you want these stock images, which I used to create this artwork, I'll provide you the images link in the description, but only if this video got over 1K views. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It motivates me to make more content for you guys. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.